Hey everyone, how's it going? Hopefully you are well. This video I just wanted to talk to you guys about manual lenses, just in general, not specifically. I've been out playing with my little Meike Manual Lenses and my Lauer 9mm, and I've been having a lot of fun, and it got me thinking a little bit more about manual lenses and the fact that I think everyone should have a manual lens in their kit, at least one. If you're learning photography especially, you should have a manual lens, and this is why. So when I say you have to have a manual lens, I don't mean you have to have a manual lens. If you're shooting on something like the M6 Mark II, or I would say most cameras, you've got a switch where you can switch it from auto to manual, and that allows you to use the lens that is on your camera to autofocus. Adjusting the aperture on the lens isn't probably as vital to what I've been thinking about as the manual focus, but if there's a little f-stop ring on your lens, it does sort of add to the experience. Now the reason that I love manual lenses is how immersed I get in my process. So when you're out there with an automatic lens, it's easy to fall into the trap of not really considering what you're taking a photo of. You've got tons of space, you're not shooting on film, you're not really limited as to what you can take a photo of in terms of space, so you're just snap, 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 snap. You're probably not thinking as much about your composition and the lighting and everything like that if you're just happy snapping, essentially. And I've fallen victim to this myself. When I've been out taking landscapes and I get back and I have to really struggle through a whole lot of useless photos to find one that's any good, because I was just taking photos of things that looked nice instead of really considering them. And when you use a manual lens, it changes the way you think about photography. You're not thinking as much about, oh, that's nice, I'll take a snap of that. You're starting to think about, okay, I need to make sure my focus is in. I need to zoom in to make sure that my focus is right, because, you know, focus peaking is great, but it's never going to give you a true representation of what's really in focus, properly sharp, until you use the little zoom in function on your camera to zoom in on the thing you want to focus on and really dial in that focus. So it gets you into a different mindset of creation and a different mindset of, is everything that I want to be crisp in this photo crisp? And when you're thinking about that, you inadvertently are also thinking about your composition. Where is the object of my focus in the frame? When I zoom in, and usually a camera will zoom into the middle of the frame, when you zoom in on the frame, is the thing I'm taking a photo of that I want to be pin sharp in the center, or is it off to the side? And does that make a better photo or not? Then you've also got to think about the lighting a little bit more. When you're playing with the aperture ring and you're not getting a simulation on the back of your screen or through your viewfinder that you would normally get with an automatic lens that's feeding all that information back to the camera, you're starting to think a little bit more about the f-stop numbers and what they mean. And I think that playing with all of those things, it's not that the lens does a better job, it's just that it trains your brain to think differently about how you take photos. So you're thinking more about your composition, you're thinking more about the lighting and the impact the lighting is having on your subject. You're thinking a little bit more about the focus and what you're focusing on as well, what your actual subject of your image is. And I think all of those things combined lead to better photography. The other thing I like about these lenses is that you get more of a filmic look, I find. These are cheap lenses. They're not very good, really, to be honest. I love them, don't get me wrong, but if you want pinpoint, super crisp, super sharp, accurate photos, these aren't your go-to. You're going to spend a bit more than 70 bucks on a lens. But they give me a filmic look that I really love, a little bit of warmth, a little bit of chromatic aberration in the image that is just different. It doesn't feel, it feels a bit more vintage. It feels a little bit more warm, if that makes any sense. That's another thing I like about these lenses. But ultimately, a manual lens or shooting in manual really does make you think a little bit more. And I just think that as photographers, sometimes we just need to force ourselves and use tools like manual lenses to really train our brain, to trigger our brain to think differently. So it's thinking about the composition and the lighting and everything a little bit more, being really familiar with and intimate with what your lens is actually doing to affect your photography and your images. So yeah, just shoot manual. Not all the time, obviously. If I'm doing a professional job, I'm not shooting manual. I'm shooting auto. I'm using my best prime lenses, and I'm making sure everything's nice and sharp. I'm not taking the time. But when I do have time on my side, I'm taking photos for me, or just for my Instagram, or I'm out and about and I just want a different feel to my photography, or I want to immerse myself in my photography, that's when these little lenses are exactly what the doctor ordered. Right, that's it. That's this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it inspires you. Let me put that there. That was just some thoughts that I had that I hope will maybe inspire you to think a little bit differently about your photography, your approach to it. Maybe encourage you, if you haven't tried using a manual lens or even using the manual setting on your camera, to give it a go. I mean, you've got nothing to lose, really. Next time you're out shooting, flick it to manual, have a play, familiarize yourself with how your lens and how your camera focuses on things when you're in control, and see how it changes the way you think about your photography process. That's really what I want you to get out of this, if anything at all. I guess I'll see you guys soon. Oh, but one more thing. There are quite a few new people watching this video that have subscribed recently, and I just wanted to thank you all very, very much. It means the world to me, and you're very, very welcome, and I hope that you get something out of my videos. I have been working on something for a couple of weeks that just doesn't seem to be coming together just yet, that I hope to have out soon. A quite extended road trip adventure that I went on that I hope to share with you soon. And but in the meantime, one thing I'd like, and it'll be interesting to see what I get out of this in the comments, knowing some of my regular commenters and viewers. I want to know what you would like me to make videos on. Now, I'm always going to make videos that I'm interested in making and thoughts that I have, but I'm really interested. You guys that have subscribed to me, you've subscribed for a reason, and I'd like to know what it is that you would like to know, whether it's about the M6 Mark II, whether it's you know, about Canon in general, whether it's about photography in general, and what you would like to get from me in terms of my knowledge base that I can pass on to you. Or if you just like watching me for some reason. Don't know why that would be, but maybe that's you. If you do, I'm flattered. Thank you very much. And also, I would like to do, as we approach 500 subs, I was thinking a Q&A would be quite interesting to do. But if you've got any questions for me for the Q&A, just comment below and just put Q&A before your question or after your question, or somewhere within the comments, so I know that that question is specifically for a Q&A video. And in a couple of weeks time or so, I will produce that Q&A video. And yeah, but until then, go out there, shoot manual, and enjoy photography and immerse yourself in your photography, and really think about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and forget about Instagram, forget about posts, forget about likes. Just find something you want to take a photo of and really let the world disappear. So it's just you and your camera and your subject, and see how that changes the way you think and approach your photography. Anyway, have a great week. I need to cover the lens with something. What have I got? I got a nice microfiber towel. It's not black, but it'll do the job.